Welcome to this tutorial. I'm going to look at lists. So I'll be talking about most of the things that you have to know about lists. So it's going to be interesting. So firstly, I'll define a list. So a list is a sequence of values that are called elements. So a list can have elements of different data types. So let's say I have list 1 equals list 1 equals let's say Monday. So this is a string, then I have integers, then I have a list, then I have a dictionary. Yeah, so this is a list. As you can see here, it's composed of elements of different data types. So let us try to so this is fine. Let us try to run it, to print it. We see if we're going to get any errors, but we can't get any errors because this is fine. So let me use a for loop to traverse the elements of this list. For so you print obj. So these, as you can see here, these are the elements of our list, of list 1. Okay, so if you want to check the data types of these elements, you just have to use type. Okay, type give you the types of the elements in the list. So you can see here that the first element is a string, then it's followed by sequence is followed by the integers. After the integers you have a list and then a dictionary. Yeah, so if let's say they ask you to they've given you a list of this form, it has strings, it has lists, it has a dictionary, and they've asked you to find the sum or the product of the integers in that list. How would you go about that? So this is how you would go about that. So let's say you've been asked to find the sum. The first thing that you do to find the sum of integers in a list is you have to initialize the sum to 0. Okay, so every time you're asked to find the sum of elements in a list, or you're using a loop to get elements as input from the user, you have to initialize the sum. Okay, so we initialize the sum, and then we're going to, so here we're going to use a different method, so a different way, a different alternative of the for loop. So this one where you just say for object in this one is used to only read, like if you just want to read the element. But if you want to perform some kind of operations, you need the length of the list, and to get the length of the list, you can't achieve it using this type. So we'll use the for I in range kind of for loop. So let's do that one. So we'll say for I in for I in range. So the range has to be the length of the list, and to get the length of the list we just have to use the keyword len. Okay, So let's say len. What's next? You have to check if the element at index I is you have to check if the element at index I is an integer. If it's not, then you have to skip it. So if it's an integer, you add it to our sum. So let's say if ls I, so if the type of the element equals an integer, what we have to do is we have to update our sum. I hope this is clear. So lastly, what we have to do is we have to print our sum. Yeah. So the sum is 21. So if you want to find the product, all you have to do is you initialize your result or your product to 1, because if you leave it at 0, what will happen is that the answer will be 0. Yeah, the answer will be 0. So let's try to do that one as well. Yeah, the product is 22. Wait, no, it can't be 22. So let's change the sign here. I mean the operator. So yeah, so the product is 720. Yeah, that one makes sense. So another thing that you have to know is that lists are mutable, meaning that you can reassign an element to a list. So let me comment this. So let's say I want to reassign the elements at index 2 to something else. Let me say what I have to do is this. Let me print yeah, here you see that the element at index 2 has changed. So that is what it means when they say lists are mutable. So if you try to access an element at an index that does not exist, you get what is known as an index error. Yeah, so as you can see here, we have 1 2 6 7 8. So here we have 8 elements, meaning the index is from 0 to 7. So if you try to access something at index 10, for example, you will be given an index error because index 10 doesn't exist. Yeah. Another thing is that you can use slicing. So slicing is like, if you only want to print elements from, let's say, the first index, from index 0 to index 5, and you don't want the other elements, you use slicing. So this is how you use slicing. So if it's from index 0 to, let's say, index 4, you just have to, you can have 0 then colon index 4, but you can also just do this. Yeah, so these are the elements from index 0 to index 4. So if you want elements from index 4 to the last index, all you have to do is this. Yeah, then removing the 4 here will print all the elements, just like you've done nothing. Yeah, so if you want elements, let's say from index 2 to index 5, all you have to do is you put your 2 here and your 5 here, then you have elements from index 2 to index 5. Yeah, then you can also add elements. You can add more elements to your list, so that is called appending. Okay, so to append an element to the list, all you have to do is you write the name of the list, then dot append. Then it takes the element that you want to append to the list as an argument. So let's say I want to append let's say 78. Yeah, so you can see 78 there. Then the next method that I'll talk about is extend. So extend means that, let's say you have two lists and then you want to add the elements of the second list to the first list, you use extend. So let me have another list so I can demonstrate that one. Say you have 11, 12, 13 or 14, 13, 20, 18. So I can use extend to append the elements of list 2 to list 1. Dot extend. So this one takes the list as an argument. Yeah,